Oh, hello, everybody. I am just on a roll today, so I'm going to keep going. This video is going to be about how to get yourself out of debt, how to quit your job, and how to live the life of your dreams. So, for anybody wondering, this past year I have gotten myself out of debt. I am quitting my job, and I am living the life of my dreams. So I'm a pretty good resource on the topic. So what I did about a year ago, I had over $20,000 worth of debt. And whoo, let me tell you how not free that made me feel. I was, first of all, it made me really anxious and nervous. Like growing up my whole life, I kind of watched my parents, talk about like, oh, we need to pay this bill. Oh, we need to pay this bill. This, so on and so forth. As a lot of us have done our whole lives. And as a small child, that stuff sort of just absorbs into your being. And one of the, I believe, tragic flaws of today's society is that we're not taught how to manage money. We aren't taught that in the school structure that we're in, and it should be taught. It should be taught. But unfortunately, not having that knowledge and that wisdom leaves a lot of us just kind of hung out to dry. And then, we're raised to, go to college, and these are going to be videos for other days, but like go to college, get a job, da da da. But what does going to college require? Taking out student loans, unless you're blessed enough to have had college paid for you, university paid for you, or you had somebody in your life that said, hey, I'm going to start you a fund for this schooling, which that's awesome. But if you are one of the people who didn't have that growing up, and then you go out into the real world and you accrue all of this debt, you're kind of just stuck. You're kind of just stuck looking around at all of these bills you have to pay, and it just kind of becomes normal. Like, oh, yeah, here's this loan I have to pay. Oh, here's this bill I have to pay. Oh, well, now I can't pay it this month. Excuse me. So I need to take out a credit card to be able to get that thing that I want, or to just pay your bills, whatever the case may be. Long story short, then we accrue all of this debt. And what do? Well, for me, it was about, I'd say at the beginning of last summer, I was at work, and I met this, I'm currently working at a hotel in downtown Pittsburgh, and so I've been fortunate to meet a lot of really cool people there. And this one guy that I met, he walked up to me very like serendipitously. I don't even know if I just said that word right. But he just struck up a conversation with me, and we were talking about acting and screenwriting, and he said, oh, I'm a screenwriter for Paramount Pictures. And I was like, oh, well, that's amazing. And he said, yeah, I'm teaching a workshop in Prague in a month, and it costs, I don't remember the exact number, let's say $3,500. And I want you to come to it, and I will make a seat available for you. And obviously, in that moment, I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. Like, I would love to do something like this. This sort of opportunity seems like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But quickly, that enthusiasm died when I realized I'm not in a place to quit my job right now. I have over $20,000 worth of debt. And I also don't have $3,500 sitting in my savings account to go to Prague for a month, And it was a real bummer. It was a real bummer. And, I don't regret that looking back now. I do think it would have been a really cool and fun opportunity, but it just kind of woke me up to the situation that I was in, and I felt so stuck, and I felt so powerless. I felt so powerless in that moment, because I thought, holy cow, here's this thing I really want to do, and I can't do it because of this like debt looming over my head. Oh man, something's got to give. And ironically, in perfect timing, my boyfriend had actually been putting a bug in my ear for a few months at that time about like, Meg, here's, are you in a budget? Here's a way to do it. And I'll get into this deeper in another video, like the actual specific way to do it, because John has been a wealth of knowledge in this realm for me. And I thank God for him every single day, because he was the catalyst that made me realize that it wasn't as hard as I was making it out to be. I had just been fearing this concept of a budget because I had no idea what that even meant. A budget, oh, that sounded terrible. That sounded like, I'm not allowed to spend the money that I want to spend whenever I want to spend it. Like silly thoughts that I didn't even really believe. Long story short, I say that a lot, I've noticed. That's just probably because I like to talk a lot. But so he had been saying this to me for months, that like I needed to get in a budget. And this situation was the thing that woke me up to that. And I thought, wow, okay, real life, real talk. I want to do the things I want to do. Great. How do I do this? And so what he helped me do was sit down. He helped me to sit down. I just learned that last year, actually, how to sit down. We sat down together, and he said, write down all of your loan amounts, write down all of your bills each month, boom. Here is what here's what you need to pay each month. And then we kind of like tallied up all of the debt that I was in, including like my school loans, my car, my credit cards, etc. And with just those two things, I got myself in a plan. I used the Snowball Effect to get out of my debt, which is essentially taking your highest interest rate loans and paying them off first. So you take everything else and you pay the minimum payment, and then you pick your loan with the highest interest and you put as much money as possible towards that. Now, in order to put as much money possible towards that, you need to know what you have to spend each month. And what we broke it down into was, okay, based on the amount, that I owe each month, I tallied up what I needed to spend on like groceries and just living and that sort of thing. And we came up with a number for each day. My number for each day was $30 a day. I had $30 a day to spend for 2 weeks. Anything outside of that, so every time I got my paycheck, I calculated $30 a day. I'm really bad at quick math. And then anything that I made other than that, and at that time, I sat down and I looked at the next 2 weeks ahead and I paid all of the bills that I needed to pay. And then I subtracted my $30 a day for 2 weeks, and whatever was left over, I put it right into that highest interest loan. And they just started like dwindling away and dwindling away and dwindling away. And once momentum took over, oh, holy cow, it was just like fun. It became fun. So quickly on the budget side of things, $30 a day might not seem like that much. For me, actually, which was funny, it turned out to be like way more than I needed. But what that did, knowing what I had to spend each day, it alleviated the anxiety in my mind about this thing. I was out of suffering in 2 weeks. Like instantly 2 weeks when I just saw it all work. I was like, oh, what was I ever worried about? So here's an example. Say I went out and, I wanted to go out with friends. And I had a $60 tab. That would be something that in the past I was like, oh man, I just spent $60. But I thought, well, wait a second. Okay, that was kind of like 2 days of my budgeting. And I know I'm not going to spend any money tomorrow or the next day or the next day. So like actually I'm ahead of my budget. I'm cool. So what that helped to do, just being in this sort of budget system, was like it alleviated the anxiety because I knew the amount of money that I had to spend. it took a little bit of hard work. I mean, after a while, I realized that why am I going out and spending my money, on dinner and drinks when I could be inviting my friends over and having a bottle of wine and cooking them dinner for a quarter of the price here and having just as much fun. It also puts you in a mindset of learning to do things a different way. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And it's so much easier and so much simpler than people think it is. The thing is, like, just nobody ever taught a lot of us how to do that. So if you have more questions on that side of it, write a message down below and I will send you some information back. I hope that I articulated that well. If nothing else, I hope that you got the concept of it. So really and truly, once I was in that path of getting out of my debt, I realized, oh shoot, now I don't have that to pay this month. Wow, now I have more money. More money meant, oh, I can pay off this loan quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And for those of you who know this side of the story, I actually ended up selling my car last year because I thought, wow, I'm paying $275 a month for a car that I drive 3 times, 4 times a month, maybe max. I live right off of a busway in Pittsburgh. Like, it just didn't make sense. Pulled the trigger, sold my car. And then I didn't have like a $400 payment each month, including, gas, whatever. You know how car stuff adds up. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And now I still have one loan that I'm paying off, but I am set to be out of that debt in the next 2 months. Completely. And the amount of freedom that comes with that, what you realize in that is if you don't have bills to pay, you don't need that much money. You don't need as much money as you're even making. When along the way did society say, like, the more money you have, here's your status. Oh, the more money you have, the more things you can buy. There's so much negative connotation around the concept of money because we are being irresponsible with it. We are being irresponsible with it. So you know what I do now? I put my money in savings. I'm smart with it. And again, getting out of that debt, that truly, like, there is no, like, how do you quit your job? How you quit your job and do the thing you want to do is when you realize that you don't require X amount of dollars and you don't have to work X amount of hours a week to get those dollars to live the life that you want to lead, it just becomes simple. And the more stress and anxiety that you alleviate from yourself, you realize, oh man, the possibilities are sort of endless. I can live a much simpler life. And I can be happier doing it because there's no pressure of all of this debt looming over me. And again, that goes back to, like, I felt so powerless. I felt so powerless with that money cloud bubble just like there. And now I don't have that. And it is amazing. So I'm probably going to cut this video short because I don't want it to run too long. That's how you get out of debt. How you quit your job is you just quit your job. You look around and you decide what you really want to do instead of the thing that you think you should be doing, and you do it. You just look to ways to do it. And 3, how to live the life of your dreams. Look inside of you and decide who you want to be. Not what you want to do, but who you want to be, and start being it on a daily basis. Just start being that person. And I promise you that the momentum of that energy will overtake your life. Because you're just no longer going to resonate with the place that you're in. You're no longer going to be comfortable in the job that you're in when you start really being the person that you want to be and living your dreams. It's pretty magical. It's pretty magical. So again, if you have any questions about any of that, comment below. I know that that was like I got really passionate there for a minute. So I hope that it was all articulated well enough for you to understand. But if you want to do those things, guys, just do them. Just do them. You got to start, and you got to start today. Talk to you soon.